I'm waiting for you to stop doing the dancing before I bring us in. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of Dad Life. If you're listening to the Monday episode, we kind of finished out by saying that this week we are going to talk about combating your inner critic. It's something I've personally struggled with all of last year in terms of believing in self-worth and things like that. So not feeling like I was worth the life that I have worked hard to get and the family that I currently have and stuff like that. So there was a lot of it in that. So I reached out, I did a lot of reading, and the idea of doing this episode kind of got triggered that we've had a company called Mind Gym, which is part of Mind Matters, come in to work and sit down and do little workshops with us and talk through different ways of helping yourself in terms of like daily affirmations, making small habits that can change you over a longer period of time, and then just references to different books and podcasts and stuff like that really helped. And we sat around and all talked about stuff. And the guy that delivered it was really good. So I thought we finished our last one on my last night shift, and he finished off with a poem, which I'm going to read at the end of this episode, which kind of hit home a little bit, and I thought that's good. The guy who delivered it kind of told us a story about how it affected him in his life, and I thought I kind of want to carry that on as a bit of a salute at the end of this week's podcast. So yeah. Oh, welcome. Hi, Nick.
Hi. I love it. I think this is an awesome topic. You mentioned it, and I was like, yes, let's for sure. That's awesome. Let's do it. So I'm interested in this. The Mind Gym. Are guys? Do they have to do it, or do they? Is it an elective thing?
It's an elective thing. So people did kind of opt out. There were some people that did like one or two of the sessions, and then like afterwards, like it's really not for me. I don't. And I wasn't getting anything out of it, but they also weren't putting anything into it.
Sure.
So there's an element of when trying to work on yourself from the inside out is like, if people perceive themselves as being okay and happy, I don't feel like I need to work on myself, that they don't take to this kind of thing very well. But if you've struggled or know somebody that has struggled or are just interested in making sure that you don't hit that kind of obstacle, it's pretty good. And most of the people, I mean, there must be 18 people on our shift, and I'd say 12 to 13 of us kind of sat around and stayed there. So, and that altered with some people weren't in because they just weren't in for work and stuff. So
sure. I just wondered because I know, I think it's changing a bit, but I still think it exists historically. You know, guys have been kind of like, I'm not doing that. I mean, the Mind Gym thing is really interesting, right? Because it's a type of counseling, but not called counseling. So, I mean, I can see like their branding is good. Guys go to the gym all the time. Now it's just a Mind Gym, right? So, I mean, I appreciate the branding, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean it's smart to do it that way because
it's flexing the mind in terms of mental health. Like you would go and you'd push weights and you'd contract and extend and muscles and stuff like that to work them. You're going to have to do the same in the brain. You have to go inside. You have to kind of get a little bit uncomfortable and go to places that as men we kind of bury, because we're always perceived to be this strong, dominant, I've got my act together kind of persona, when sometimes, we could be a duck swimming on top of the water and everything seems still and placid on top, but our legs underneath are kicking like mothers. So
so the inner critic, kind of like your inner voice that either tells you, well, and that's critic. So the inner voice that tells you all the things you're doing wrong is what you're kind of
kind of. Yeah. So it's the way you question yourself. So it's when I go to the gym with Joe, we have a mantra when we're moving up a weight on something. Like we'll just say to each other as we're getting underneath the bar to do like the bench press and stuff, and we'll just say it's just a bar. It's exactly the same bar that you was moving before. It's just a bar. You've got this. And that sticks in my head. So when he's not there to spot me and I'm like, I'm ready to go up, and I'm kind of thinking, well, I haven't got Joe here, so if I drop this on me, it's gonna freaking hurt. But like, I'll lay there underneath it, and I put the hood up, I put the brother hood up.
I like it.
It's very silly.
Mm-hmm.
And then like I say to myself, it's like a couple of deep breaths, I get comfortable, and I'm like, it's just a bar. And then I move the weight, and afterwards I'm like, okay, yeah, cool, I can do that. If I was to lay there and think, well, this is you've got 97 kilos above your head here, Sean. Like, this is going to hurt if it lands on your head, and it's 2.5 kilos heavier than you did before. Are you sure you've got this? Because 2.5 bags of sugar is pretty heavy. It's like, have you got this? If you were to sit there and tell yourself that, or like internalize that, and your mind's telling you, then it's not going to happen. So
that's 214 pounds, Americans, just so you know.
Yeah, it's almost my body weight. Yeah. So, and that's what I'm chasing. So
cool.
It's I mean, I've got notes here and stuff, thanks to ChatGPT, but I've also got some of the Mind Gym stuff here if I need to reflect to it. But there's a quote here that says, "Talk to yourself like you would talk to." No, that's not the right one. It's there. From Henry Ford, is whether you think you can or you think you can, you're right. And I think that speaks volumes in terms of, if you stand there and tell yourself, you're walking into a job interview and you can build yourself up and be like, I've got this, like, I'm well prepared. I know like what the company's about. I know their values, and I know how they match my values as a person, or I can tell them at least how they match my values as a person. I can really sell myself here. Like, you walk into that and you've got the air of confidence about you. You've got it. If you sit there in the car outside and be like, I mean, I can do this. Like, I'm really nervous. I'm the whole Eminem thing, like palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy kind of thing. And you're panicking. You walk in looking like a flustered, pale, clammy mess. That is then their impression. And you've told yourself you haven't got this, and you're walking in with the self-defeat straight away. So
yeah, you make the persona that you end up with. I see that. So I'm interested, so I'll just start off with me before I ask you this question. So for me, I have two main areas where I tend to critique myself, like, heavily, maybe unfairly at times. One would be my job. I'm the director of this organization, so oftentimes, like, I will look at other organizations that do what I do, other Habitat affiliates, and I'm like, God, why we are so not where they are, there's so many things that I could do, if I just wouldn't play, that game on a Friday or whatever, maybe we could push a little bit harder, crunch a little bit more, and do just that extra piece, right? So there's that, and then there's this. There's dad life. There's not this podcast, but like being a dad. That would be the other area. Like when I leave a conversation and I'm like, I screwed that up, or like when I find myself sitting on the couch, like scrolling on the phone or on X doing whatever, and I'm like, okay, this isn't where I need to be right now, like those are my two main. I mean, I'll critique myself in plenty of areas, but on the regular, those are where like I can get in my own way. So I don't know. So do you have like a main area? If you don't mind sharing, we didn't talk about this. So if you do, that's fine.
No, it's fine. I have absolutely full transparency with this, and I think that's what helps in terms of stuff. And the guy that did Mind Gym mentioned this. He took me to one side afterwards, and you've shared more than I've known anybody in your organization to share while being sat here. And I'm like, well, I don't care. It's like I have been to a point where I didn't want to be around, and I'm glad I am around because I'm now thriving. As much as I'd like to say, I do feel like I'm thriving now. And I want to share that because I don't want anybody else to be in that position. I've lost friends. I've lost 4 friends, work colleagues, to suicide. And I don't ever want to lose another one. So if I can if I can share something that then triggers somebody to be like, I can go talk to Sean. He's dealt with it. He knows. So yeah, but no, parenting and being a good husband are my two biggest areas where I suffer and still suffer with, but I communicate them a lot better. I'm the same as you. Like, I'll come away from a conversation with Logan, or I'll handle something because I'm tired and I'm crabby because working shifts and things like that, and I'll I snap at him, and then like I'll think about it in the car as I'm taking him to school. I'm like, this guy's not going to go to school all day with his dad that's just snapped at him, and I'm like, my dad used to do that to me as a kid, and I hated it. Like, I absolutely like resented him as a kid for doing those kind of things to me, and it's like I'm now doing the same, and I can kind of understand why my dad did it, but that's no excuse. It shouldn't have been done, and now I'm doing exactly the same, and it's like I need to change that. So, so yeah, there's that, and then there's like where something happens like around the house, and you can kind of flip out a little bit and be like, oh, and people like get in the way and stuff. So it's how, say you say you chasing trying to be the perfect parent, but I think perfection as a person and perfection as a parent is a complete myth. And I mean, if they can see how you bounce back from a situation, or even how you apologize. I think we talked about it a while back about when Ariel was struggling with her washing and stuff like that, and you said, just leave it, sis, and I'll sort it because I'm going to help you out. That little exchange there, as small as it might have been, has massive ripples effect, because she now realizes that she doesn't have to feel bad if she's rushing to get something done, and so on and so forth. So, and I think that's one of the biggest things we can do as parents for our kids is to let them be real with them and let them see that there is struggles, but also be open and honest when you have dropped the ball and you snapped and stuff like that. So, because they don't come out with a book. It'd be great if they came out with this parenting guidebook, and this is exactly how you should do it. So.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree with the apologizing thing. Like, it's a big deal, I think, for them to be like, one, it lets them know that you too, even though you're a parent, you're human, and two, they have to apologize a lot. Like maybe not a lot, but a lot more than we do. Like, oh, I'm sorry, I did that, or I did this, or they're learning all these things, and they're apologizing for it. And so when they see that you will follow that same book when you mess up, I think that's powerful. And so
yeah. So, and then as my other area with being a good husband, in terms of like, I've done stuff in the past which I'm ashamed that I've done, and I feel like I'm constantly trying to make up for that. And then sometimes I go over the top, and that annoys Lindsay. So then I start to feel bad, because then I've annoyed her, and then I'm questioning, like, am I doing the right thing? Am I being good enough? And it just ended up spiraling a lot. And then because I was then chasing the doing the right thing feeling all the time, and I wasn't getting it, I was then starting to feel anxious. And then the anxiety, living on a constant level of anxiety and anxiousness, puts you in a horrible state of flux, is the way that I'd put it when I was spoken to the doctor about it. And everything then after that, the small little things can lead to you being blown up as if it was a massive thing. So, because you're already at this level all the time, and all it takes is for like a little drip of water to add to the cup that's already overflowing, and it just spills out everywhere, and boom, there we go.
Yeah.
So communications, where I kind of land on that one. So I'll tell Lindsay if I'm having a bad day, I'm like, I'm a bit overwhelmed, things are getting on top of me. Can we have a chat about X, Y, and Z, or can I need to go to the gym? Which is why I go to the gym and lift the stuff that I do, because it's a control and a focus that I have absolute control over. The variables are there, but I control all the variables. So it kind of helps a lot.
I think that's important too. If I don't knock my mic over. What you're talking about with communication to your loved ones that are around you, of like, hey, just like, hey, it's a rough day, give me a little bit of space, right? There are these when Noah and Ariel were younger, they don't have them anymore, but like when they were kindergarten, first, second, I think, grades, they had, what were they called? I think they were called ouch reports for some reason, but they weren't like hurt reports or beware reports. I can't remember. Anyways, it's a report you could fill out basically and send, and the teacher would have it just basically as a like, hey, I can't really tell you what they're going through at this moment, but just beware. They're probably, there's something that happened at the house or something like that, and so they might be a little tender emotionally. And so it's like you're just basically doing that in the adult form, right? Of like, hey, I'm just I've had a rough day for whatever reason, and just beware. And I think giving that is important.
The worst time for me is when I come in from nights when we've had a breakdown, like mini outage, and we'll apply something like 50 to 60 points of isolation in one night. And you kind of, when we're doing that, you, as the role we have, there's a level of you're signing to say that something is in a safe state for somebody to work on. So they trust that because you've had the training and you've got the competency to do that, that they can then go and work on it and be safe. And when we're talking like 11,000 kilovolts, we're talking like 11 kilovolts, we're talking 3.3 kilovolts, 415 volts to masses of pressure and stuff like that. It's you get to the end of the shift and you're like, I'm absolutely shattered and I'm mentally drained, and now I'm replaying everything that I've done in my head on the drive home. And you get home and you're like, start to begin to question, like, did I do that right? Did I lock that right? And then you've got people like chirping. Your kids like come downstairs and they're all like, fresh.
Mm-hmm.
They've woken up for the morning and they're like, Logan will just talk and talk and talk and talk. And like at some points I'll just be like, dude, I need you to just not talk.
Yeah.
Like I can't process it. Or I'll stand there in the kitchen and Lindsay will be having a conversation with me. My ears are ringing. It's like there's that much inside my own head that all I can hear is my own ears ringing. And I'll look at her and I can see her mouth moving. And I'm like, no idea what you're saying. I'm so sorry. Say that again. And she'll then get annoyed with me. And then she's like, why aren't you listening? And I just cannot hear you. It feels like a bomb's gone off in my head. I'm so sorry.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they're the worst mornings because when I didn't communicate that's how I was feeling, I then got irritated because I was like, stop getting on at me. I've had a really crap time at work, and then I'm like having to run around because you've got to get kids ready for school, like maybe have to do some of the iron the uniform. It's like, why hasn't this been done? And you start, like, I was internalizing things, and then I was becoming resentful of people, as well as saying, well, you should have done this before you got to work. Like, you share the responsibility. You could have done this before you went to work, so you're not having to do it now. And kind of start to fall out with yourself and fall out with other people in your head. And then, it's not a healthy way to be. So,
yeah. No, it's really not. It's interesting you were talking about like the critic of like it's almost like you're your own bully in some way, right?
Yes.
Like it's real interesting. Like that thought ran through my head when you were talking about one of the things you were saying. It's like you're your own bully, and sometimes you don't even realize you're your own bully, and there's no way for you're just you, so there's no way for anybody to understand like how that's happening, right? Like we all know what a bully does to somebody, like, and how that almost can just, well, it just makes their life crap. And so, but there's nobody to point to, right? And be like, that guy's being a jerk to me, And
exactly,
so it's really tough.
And it's hard, and that's where I'll come to, like, with a poem at the end of the podcast. But the Man in the Mirror poem that I'm going to ring, it kind of comes to that. If you can't stand there and like the person that's staring back because you're fighting with this inner critic all the time, or you've tried to cheat your own persona in terms of, like, fake victories or pretending that you've done things when you haven't. You can't look at yourself in the mirror because you're telling yourself, that you're not right, you're not this, you're not the other. It's that person that's staring back at you that is the one that's critiquing you. It's just yourself, and it's a really hard concept to get your head around. But yeah, once you don't blame everybody else for their wrongdoings in terms of making you the way that you feel, and realize that it might actually just be me talking to me, self versus self kind of thing.
Yeah, that's a great point too. A lot of times the inner critic doesn't say like, "Oh, I did this," like, "Oh, I did so bad here." What happens sometimes with me is that I make up what I'm for sure people are thinking, right? So it's not like my inner critic oftentimes isn't like, "Oh, I bet I'm doing so bad at Habitat," or or I'm just not doing as much as I should be. Or it'll be like, "Oh, that volunteer event didn't go off great. I bet they're thinking this. I know that they're thinking this. I know that they think that I didn't put enough effort into that or this, that, you know what I mean?" So it's kind of a like, it's almost, and then by the time you're done, like if I'm going to talk to Beck or something, it's like, yeah, they think, let me tell you, they think this. And it's like, and then when you like reflect on that, I'm like, well, I don't really know that they think that, but I'm pretty sure they do, because that's what's my head's whipped up for me,
Yeah. And again, that is all just, like you say, internal. It's your own perceived thoughts from the external telling you, yeah. And it's awful. And like there's coping mechanisms with that, and like the stuff that I got noted here, and stuff that like ChatGPT goes to give your inner critic a name, because it kind of if you can give it a name and you can make it a differentiation from yourself, you kind of then have that person to blame and kind of, well, not blame, but you have that person to point the finger at and go, hey, look, it's you, negative Nigel. You're the one that's making me feel this way. I'm going to change that. I think that's kind of come from.
Go ahead, sorry.
What was you going to say?
No, I was. You were still being serious. I was just going to say I still haven't come up with what I would name my negative self. Like I'm going to really put some work to it. I got to come up with it. I mean, negative Nick is just too obvious. I got to come up with something a little bit more than that, even though it is a good alliteration.
So, and I think that kind of concept comes from Steve Peters' book, the Chimp Paradox, which we talked about before we started the episode. Like he's wrote a book. There's one available for kids, by the way, which is an awesome thing. And I think for like the price of £3.50 or something, I think it might be similar in the US in dollars. It's a great book to read with them because it teaches them how to manage things like conflict and stress and internalization and things like that and thoughts. But it kind of breaks down the human brain into 3 parts. And I apologize if I'm kind of teaching you how to suck eggs here and you've read the book or listened to the podcast that in the Andrew Huberman podcast where he kind of talks to Steve Peters about it. But he splits the brain down into 3 things, where you have this chimp. And obviously, if you see a chimp in the wild, chimps just want to rip your face off and crap everywhere and just basically eat bananas and they don't have a second thought to making noise.
Uh-oh. You're going robotic on us, Sean. Sean is very robotic. I've lost him on both sides. Discord in here. Sean's not going to cut this, so I know. I'm just going to have to keep talking. I know he's going to just let it go because that's what he did last time. You probably need to start and you need to go out and come back in. Also, suck eggs is the it's a new one. I've not heard that one, y'all, just so you know. And we've lost him. And he's back. Well, not back yet, but he's almost back. He's almost. Uh-oh. He's trying hard. I got 3 little dots moving around. Okay. I see you.
I'm back. We seem to be having this issue weekly with Discord.
Did we have this issue last week? I don't remember this last week.
Yes. Yeah, I dropped out last week, and I dropped out the week before, and I'm sat looking at my route, and it's not doing anything. So anyway,
Chimp.
I'll rewind. So, Steve Peters wrote a book, and it kind of breaks down, like I said, the brain to the chimp, which I've already talked about. It breaks down, like, there's the compute, which is the autonomy side of things. So that's the, you need to sleep, you need to eat, you need to breathe, pumping your blood around your body, all those kind of things, and how you compute things. And then you've got the human, which is like the emotion side of things, the person that's kind of, is you, and you have this, a way of like dealing with this situation is different to the chimp. So somebody comes up to you and they're like, "Hey man, I'm going to punch you in the face," and like the chimp will automatically go, "Run away," or "Stand still," or "I'm going to punch you back." But like the human will like then be like, "Well, how come you? Hang on, hold on. Try and diffuse the situation. Why do you want to punch me in the face? What's making you feel like that? Have I done something wrong to you? Can we talk about it? This kind of so." And he talks about that in great depth about how you have to build a relationship with your chimp. So you name your chimp. I mean, mine's Stephen. I called mine Stephen the chimp.
I like it.
And you kind of build up a relationship. You learn how to communicate, and you understand how he behaves. And then you can kind of get it under control and train your chimp and stuff like that, doing little daily habits and stuff like that. I mean, it helps massively that I take medication for anxiety, because that brings me down massively to a point where I can manage stuff. So when things do annoy me or things do get on top of me, I can kind of I notice that because I'm not already at a higher level.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like it was that self-training in terms of I'm doing this, which is, again, I go back to I go to the gym because I can control that. I like the cold water plunges and like cold showers because it's a way of putting myself under stress, but then stress that I can manage because I'm controlling it, and learning to breathe and understand the way that I feel my heart rate like spike, and how my body then reacts to that, and fighting the urge to get out of the water because it's an uncomfortable place to be in, but knowing that I've put myself in that situation and it's perfectly safe. Like talking to myself through it and breathing through it, sort of thing.
Sure. Is it so in that analogy, is it the human that is the inner critic? Who's the inner critic?
Well, for me, it would be the chimp. The chimp's like the one that is kind of unhinged and going off on one and making you make wrong decisions and being negative about how you do things. Okay. And the human is you. You are the other half of the relationship, sort of thing.
Mine's Crazy George. So, I just named it. It's Curious George's. It's Curious George's crazy cousin.
Oh, fair enough.
That's what I just came up with.
Crazy cow. Curious George and Crazy Cow.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's a great point. Crazy Carl. I really like that. And it's Curious George's crazy cousin. Yeah. That's what it is.
Yeah.
I'm gonna write a ChatGPT book off of
that. You never know, with a man in an orange hat rather than a yellow hat. I'm
resisting the urge to go to ChatGPT and make a graphic of Crazy Carl, Curious George's crazy cousin. I'm really resisting the urge. It's very hard, but I'm doing it.
It's very professional of you. I like it. I would have done it by now. So, because don't fight the impulsive thought. But no, it's the making the relationship with the inner voice and giving it a voice. Inner critic, and then giving it a voice, which allows you then to build a relationship, and you can point the finger at this other voice that's inside that isn't you, in terms of I'm going to have this conflict with you because you're the one that's making me feel bad. You're the one that's making me act this way. You're the one that's questioning everything that I do. Where the other side of your persona is like, I'm really positive. I want to do this. I want, instead of thinking what if, is like, what if I don't get this job, is what if I do get this job? What if I do go and get this job that I want, and it pays more money? What can I do? What I can provide more for the family? We can do more nicer things. Where some people look at it and be like, oh, if I don't get this job, I'm going to kind of be stuck where I am now, and I can't provide anymore. I can't do this. I can all the time, rather than being like, I can. So that was the one thing, is changing the mindset in terms of going to like, I don't think I can do this, or I can't do this, to I can do this. I think I will achieve what I'm setting out to achieve.
I like it. Yeah, I think that I think I have never seen, or I've never heard of the like name your negative side. So I think that's really interesting. It gives you somebody to yell at that's not yourself, which I think is interesting, right?
Yep.
So yeah.
And then I think you wake up in the morning and you write. I forgot what it is you call them that you write on a morning.
I do prayers. I write out my prayers because I'm too, my brain's too crazy to remember to speak them, like, because my mind goes crazy. So yeah.
So when you're what? I mean, you don't have to answer this because they're obviously personal prayers to yourself. But what kind of things is it that you pray for in the morning? Like, I've never asked you this question. I know that you do it, but I've never asked you the question. So
yeah, so it will vary quite a bit. I'm sorry, it'll vary quite a bit. It depends.
Do you have a monkey staring at you now?
I don't know what you're talking about. I love you, man. The chimp won, okay? I tried hard, but the chimp won.
You ran out of bananas.
That's right. Yeah, I tried to feed it. Anyways, so that said, it depends on the day. So like literally today, Beck and I got in a little like tiff, right? But we had it solved by the morning, and so it was just kind of like, hey, thanks, Rebecca. Thanks for helping us through that. Thanks for giving us a human side, so that we didn't just throw bananas at each other. And praying, and praying for her, and praying for the kids, because I know that they have practice and that they do good, and praying for family, and so it will all depend. And then I got another friend that's going through some stuff with her daughter, and so kind of praying for that. And so yeah, just the people around me, basically, to help them through their circumstances, and sometimes my circumstances. And so, and it kind of grounds me. It keeps me, I don't want to say compassionate, because that's something that I struggle with.
And it shows resilience as well, because it takes a lot to get up on a morning earlier than everybody else to do these kind of things, and you go that one step further by writing them down, because you can't quieten your brain with the things that you need to do. So that's great, because one of the other things that we talked about with the mind gym and stuff like that is affirmations. So like getting up on a morning and saying three positive things to yourself in the mirror, like hey, hair looks good today, or oh, my skin looks okay. Like usually sometimes my skin can be a bit patchy, but today my skin's really nice. So that kind of, you waking up on a morning and going and writing these prayers are like little affirmations to start your day in a positive way. The other way around, people can do it on an evening and go to bed and be like, write down something they're proud of, something they're thankful for, and something that they would like to achieve. And you do that on a morning, so it's a really, really good positive and a really good mindset to be in every morning, that you've come downstairs and you've selflessly prayed for other people to do well as being thankful for the things that you have. So that's a really good practice to be in. So
yeah, I mean, yeah, it really helps me a lot in multiple ways. I'm a better father and a better husband when I do it, for sure, and I have more patience and all those things. I see all those things when it happens. Shout out to the Duke, who was like, you should write stuff down, and I was like, heck no, that's exactly how I said it, I'm sure. And I was like, I ain't doing that. And then by the end of our group, I was like writing stuff down. So,
yeah. So I do that with the cold plunge. I get in there and I'm like, after you fought the urge to get out and all the pain stopped from it being so cold, I kind of then go into this like state of blank almost, but then I start thinking about I'm glad I've now ignored the cold to a point that I'm okay and I'm handling this, and then I'll listen to the birds, because it's fantastic this time of year in the UK with all the birds like kind of waking up at the same time, and I'll lay down and listen to that, and the sun's like just coming up in the back garden. It's warm on my face and things like that. And I just kind of sit there for a little bit. I'm like, this is good. This is a really nice, positive way to start the day. And then after like 5 or 6 minutes, I'll get out and remember how freaking cold I am and be like, right, okay, I need to get dried and go drink my coffee now because I am cold.
My birds could get up about an hour later. Okay, I'm just saying. That's all I need. Just an hour later.
You just. Oh, well, that's daylight savings for you, though. But they only get it when the sky's awake. They are awake.
I know. I'm just kidding. Kind of.
So, but yeah, and I mean, it is all about, and you know, we said this is all about being a critic, but we have spoken about how we're critical of ourselves and each other in some aspects.
Mm-hmm.
And that you practice good stuff. I practice good stuff. There is more that I wish I could practice.
You have to find that thing that works for you, right? Like, I mean, it's not like it's not gonna be for you. For speaking to those on the other side, that's listening. For you, it might be writing stuff down. For you, that might not be it. Like, for you, it might be something more of what Sean's doing. It might be something that you're doing on your own. So, like, as much as it would be great and very obvious, and therapists would probably not exist if it was like a one shoe fit all. That's not how it is. Like, you have to find the thing that helps you quell that voice, or maybe not even quell it. That might not be the right thing, because sometimes you need to be an inner critic. That's something we haven't talked about. Like, sometimes like, you need to be nice to yourself, but like, sometimes if no one's there to tell you, I mean, my wife is usually pretty good at this. But
I'm gonna say you're married. Your inner voice is there in front of you with long hair and a big smile.
But sometimes you don't want to berate yourself, but you do just need to be like, hey, I did not handle that great, right? And I guess so. You need to have an inner critic, but you need to find that fine line of not going too far.
That's the thing. Yeah, there's looking into the well and drinking from it every now and then, but not drowning in it. Mm-hmm. That's the one thing I'll say with that is like you said, we definitely need that, because if you didn't, you would never progress.
Yeah,
personally, and you'd always have Becca saying, "Hey, Nick, you need to do this more because you're not doing this," and you'd be like, I'll screw you.
Yeah, but you'd be an utter. At least I would be an utter tool bag if I had no critic. I mean, yeah. Some might say I am an utter tool bag, but I mean, that's a whole other story.
You are one of the nicest people I know. You do so much for people, and then go above and beyond as well. So, yeah. So, but no, that's Yeah, you need an inner critic, but it's like you say, it's not allowing that. And it's not allowing crazy Carl to drag you down too far. It's enough to kind of give you a slap and remind you don't be a douche.
Yeah.
But at the same time, be like, hey man, that was an awesome win, good job, and patting you on the back. So,
for sure,
yeah,
for
sure. that is crazy Carl. Looks pretty much like Curious George.
I promise we will post Crazy Carl to X. So
when we announce about the show being available to listen to, I will add it to that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But I am running out of things to say, and I think this is getting to the point where we're a bit long in the tooth to keep going round the same roundabout.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have a lot more to say other than what we have. Is there anything? I guess looking through the notes that you sent me. Let's just run through these real quick. We don't even have to really discuss them, because I think some of these are pretty good, and maybe some of them they don't know, or people haven't thought of, just like I hadn't thought of the first one.
So the first one being name the critic and talk back. We've kind of gone around that a lot. Mm-hmm. So and then there's practicing micro wins. So setting yourself small goals, which the small goal I set myself is to do the cold water plunge every day. It's something I enjoy doing, and it's just if I don't do it, I feel bad for not doing it. But at the same time, it's not an end of the world thing. It's just I haven't done it. So it could be as simple as when you wake up in the morning, stand next to your bed and like, stretch, try and touch your toes, like try and reach up to the ceiling. Just, give yourself a really good stretch. Do something like that. And if you achieve it, great.
Mm-hmm.
So the first one I ever did when I tried to do micro wins is I get up and make the bed.
Yeah, that
Which annoys the living crap out of Lindsay, because I'll try and make my side of the bed while she's still in it sometimes. But I say to her, like, this is my first win. If I can wake up on a morning and get my first win, I'm happy.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yep.
Point 3 is journal like your own coach, which we've already covered with your prayers and the
Mm-hmm.
affirmation side of things. But also at the end of the night, make a list of, congratulate yourself. What did I do well today? What am I proud of? And, what would I want somebody to say to me right now from the achievements I have today? So those kind of things. And write them down if you need to write them down. If you can't write them down, I don't feel like you want to just look in the mirror and say them, or, just think about them while you're laid there in bed. Like,
Mm-hmm.
Switch the track of your brain before going to sleep from like everything that you should have done to everything that you have achieved. So.
Yep.
Turning what if into what if I fail into what if I succeed, which we've covered that in terms of changing your mindset on I can't do this or I don't think I can to I can do this, I think I can. It's just a bar mantra that I have is the turning it around. The surrounding yourself with real ones. Haven't really touched on that because I think we've spoken about this before when you had the diamond formation.
That is
after your men's retreat, which was really cool. So surrounding yourself with people that have decent personalities, because you are a combination of the 5 closest people around you.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. We talked about, to be fair, we've talked about how our wives will be our inner critic when we need to, but also on the flip side of that, when we are not being a healthy inner critic to ourselves, my wife can also be that. She can also be that person that will ground me and say that, that's not an accurate portrayal of either who you are or what you're doing. Or so as much as like we're having fun with that, yes, sometimes our wife will happily tell us when we aren't doing something right. They can also be that other side of that coin when we're not being a healthy critic to ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to say, Lindsay, she celebrates me the most out of anybody, but she will also put me in my place quicker than anybody else. So, yeah. And I love her for both. So, celebrate being a work in progress. We covered this with the, the way that our children perceive us in terms of, there is never so much thing as a perfect human or a perfect father. There's always a work. Somebody can always do more somewhere along the lines, but don't beat yourself up on chasing that perfection. Be the reasonable one. Be the one to kind of show them that as much as some days you can be an absolute, I don't know, asshat.
Mm-hmm.
You can also be.
What did I call that guy? A dingle hopper?
A dingus, yeah.
A dingus, yeah, that was it.
So as much as you can be a dingus and get things wrong, you can also learn from those things and just show them how you bounce back, that kind of stuff. So,
yep.
And I think that was it. There was only 6 points
in
there. So that was pretty good.
Yeah. So take us out on this poem, Sean. I like it.
Yeah. Okay. So this is The Man in the Glass by Peter Dale Wimbrow Sr. When you get what you want in your struggle for self, and the world makes you king for a day, just go to the mirror and look at yourself and see what that man has to say. For it isn't your father or mother or wife whose judgment upon you must pass. The fellow whose verdict counts most in your life is the one staring back from the glass. He's the fellow to please, never mind all the rest, or he's with you clear to the end, and you've passed your most difficult, dangerous test. If the man in the glass is your friend, you may fool the whole world down the pathway of years and get pats on the back as you pass, but your final reward will be heartache and tears if you've cheated the man in the glass.